Hey everybody, welcome to Goots' Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Ray Goots. It's WrestleMania time, WrestleMania 12. Before we get into that, the other day, me and Andrew Lee were talking about how WWE this year, we're not feeling it. It feels very self-congratulatory. It feels very like they're all they're into each other's assholes, these guys. Like they're sniffing each other's assholes. Like they're always saying how great they're doing. And today, two items of interest happened because,
What happened
uh,
today?
well, part of the thing is that Triple H is always out there. They've made him really like the face. It's gone a little overboard with him, like always like announcing how great they're doing, and how great he's doing, and everything. Um, Two things: the ratings on Netflix have gone down 50%. It's not even the
Yeah.
first month,
Oof.
and the
But
other important.
that was I think going to be expected because whenever it's like a first
Mhm.
episode in wrestling, it's always like the highest and then it always dips after that, you know?
Yeah, and then the other news is it wasn't his idea. He had nothing to do with it. WWE decided to surprise Triple H today during a meeting in front of all the employees. Remember, he has nothing to do with this. They surprised Triple H with the announcement that he is going to be the headliner this year in the Hall of Fame, even though he already was in the Hall of Fame.
Who,
Uh,
Triple H?
Triple H is going to headline the Hall of Fame this year. And they want to pretend like that's not Triple H's fault. But you can't fool the Goots. Uh, Dude, I just think at this point, this whole Triple H thing is just as bad as Tony Khan. He is a mark for himself. Every episode we have to like thank Triple H or congratulate Triple H, and it's fucking annoying.
Yeah, we have to I do give him I do thank him. It's without Triple H, things would not be where they are. We owe him a lot. We owe Triple H a lot. If it wasn't for Triple H, we would not get an WWE Speed, you know. Dude, the Speed Championship is so important, vastly important. I don't know about you, but it is. And the partnership with TNA. Come on, bro. Triple H all the
Um,
way. I thank you. Thank you, dear Lord and Savior Triple H. Savior of wrestling is Triple H.
Dude, was Vince McMahon this like I'm such a great guy unironically all the time? I kind of feel like he wasn't. Like his whole thing, his character was like, look how dumb I am half the time. Like it wasn't like let's put me in the Hall of Fame. Let's congratulate me. Let's have Cody Rhodes call me out. Like remember at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes was. I know this guy doesn't like to be in the spotlight, but I want Triple H to come out. And Triple H goes, "Who me? You want to thank me, Cody? Okay." I just like it's annoying, man. And here's the thing: the shows haven't been that good, and the more I think about it, that first Raw on Netflix was an all-time fumble. It was because it
Dude,
felt like a pep rally, not a show.
what are you talking about? John Cena was there. The Rock was there. He drank and then he drove. You're not telling me that's not compelling television.
I
On
guess
behalf
you're right.
on behalf of the Goots, I apologize to our Lord and Savior of wrestling, Triple H. Triple H, you cannot do any wrong. You are the best, Triple H. You, you,
I'll tell you when Triple H was used properly. It's at WrestleMania 12 when he got the
yeah.
shit beat out of him by the Warrior. I wish the Warrior was still alive so he could do it again. Uh, it's WrestleMania, baby. Let's get into it. WrestleMania 12. You know, for my money, is the undercard as bad as the last WrestleMania? No. But this main event, and this is like the fourth time I've watched it, man. This main event is so fucking boring, dude. It's so fucking tedious. I feel like I'm in a class. Like it doesn't feel like a wrestling match.
Um, I don't think it's as bad as you think it is, but it's definitely different because it's an hour, so it takes up a large chunk of the show, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
they I don't think it was terrible like you think, but I don't think it was great either. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's depending on how you look at it, there's a lot of things they did wrong. That's why I agree. That's why they never go. They do have the Iron Man match again. Like if the concept was really that bad, I don't think they would revisit it. But I think the way they did it at WrestleMania was not good. You know.
No,
But
no.
they've had Iron Man matches since this one, right? They had the one of the ones I could think off the top of my head, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar, and on SmackDown, that was a very good one.
I think these matches belong on episodes of NXT or episodes of SmackDown or Raw. Especially now SmackDown's 3 hours. I just don't think
Vince
they belong. They don't belong as the main event of WrestleMania.
Vince Jr. did an Iron Man. He went an hour with Janelle. I forgot. I already forgot her name.
I was about to say Joey Janelle. Joey Janelle.
What was her name? Janelle. What was her name?
Janelle
God.
Graham.
Janelle Grant. He went an hour with Janelle Grant.
He's always going
You
now.
know. So I think but we'll get into it. WrestleMania 12. This is still a WrestleMania, the 12th one. At this point, is WrestleMania a thing, or is it not really a thing yet?
I mean, it was. I kind of feel like it was a thing, and then stopped being a thing. And when 10 and 11 and 12 felt like nothing. I mean, I remember when I read the WrestleMania 13, I was like, 'cause I looked at the box art and I'm like, this looks like nothing. And then WrestleMania 13 was the first event I watched. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I got it, and I'm like, man, this used to be a big deal. This used to be like a really
Yeah,
big.
I'm glad you said that because at this point, I don't remember WrestleMania being like. There was a point where it was big, you know,
Yeah.
like especially in the like the Hogan part, you know, Hogan Andre, Hogan Ultimate Warrior, Hogan Savage. That was when WrestleMania kind of felt like something even when I was a kid. But then around this point, I remember WrestleMania meant like nothing to me. You know,
Yeah.
it was just another pay per view. So I was just, yeah. Right now, at this point, is the low moment of WrestleManias. Takes place March. If you're wondering when year it is, this is March 31st in 1996. So we're pretty much right in the middle of the 90s. Takes place in Anaheim, California. 18,853 people are in attendance. 290,000 pay-per-view buys. If you want a comparison, WCW's March 1996 pay-per-view uncensored had 250,000 buys. WrestleMania 11, the WrestleMania before this one in 96, had 340,000 buys. WrestleMania 13, which will be the WrestleMania after the one we're reviewing right now, will have 218 buys. So it's still it's doing better than a WCW pay-per-view, but it's close. And we're seeing a decline in the pay-per-view buys from WrestleMania 11, 12, 13. It's steadily going down. Okay. So
Yeah.
the interest is going down. You are going from 340 to in 2 years, you're going down to 218. That's a huge drop. That's more than 100,000 people you're losing in 2 years. So you know, obviously, this is the dark days of WWF. We get a black and white intro for the show, highlighting the Iron Man match, right? Like, oh, who's gonna do it? It's Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. One of them's gonna lose, one of them's gonna win, and that is how we introduced the show. We got Vince McMahon Jr. and Jerry King Lawler on commentary. Man, I forgot to send this to you. I should have sent it to you. I totally forgot. But this is not on the main pay-per-view. But prior to WrestleMania 12, there is a show called The Free For All, which is a pre-show.
Yes.
And on the pre-show, they have one very significant match. The Huckster versus the Nacho Man. Did you watch the Huckster versus the Nacho Man?
No.
Okay. You
And
can
also,
watch it.
there was another match: the Body Adonis versus the Godwins.
Yeah, but we're talking Huckster versus the Nacho Man. That's a very
Yeah,
important match.
this is the blow off of this huge angle that saved that.
Yes,
You know that
exactly. It's the blow
Meltzer
off.
points to save WWE.
What?
Yeah, this is the blow off of this massive angle that saved WWE.
Exactly. So if you watch
Yeah.
all those stupid Huckster and Nacho Man little segments they did, this is the blow off match you got to see on YouTube. It's like about 3 minutes. It is It's pretty terrible, and it ends with FTC winning. If you're wondering what the FTC is, it is the something Turner, the featured Turner cinema movie or something like that. I forget what the fuck it is, but it's
Vince
stupid. Anyway.
complained because he said there was too much blood on the show. Vince complained to the FTC that they were bleeding on Nitro.
Oh, the FTC is an actual thing?
Yes. It's a
Oh,
yes.
yeah, that's right. It's a PTC, right?
Yes, he complained.
Is
They're bleeding. We're not supposed to be bleeding. I'm Vince McMahon.
yeah, what a fucking whiny
Because
bitch.
he was like, this is supposed to be. He was like, he literally filed a complaint because he was like, this is supposed to be family entertainment.
Yeah, he is. Vince McMahon is getting his ass kicked.
And then 2 years later, he's got like Jeff Jarrett breaking guitars over women's heads and fucking lesbians getting beat up by the bloodline and all types of bullshit. But here he's like, this is family entertainment. They're beating me in the ratings. It's not fair.
Yeah,
Oh,
Junior's a
Triple
little
H,
whiny bitch.
save me.
Save me.
Yeah.
We need NXT, we need WWE Speed. We need the Speed champion. All
Triple
right,
H,
let's
what
get
would
to our
you
first
do?
match. It's a six-man tag. Six-man tag. We got Vader coming out with Jim Cornette. That's right, Vader curtain jerking at WrestleMania 12. Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith versus Yokozuna, Ahmed Johnson, and Jake the Snake Roberts. This is no longer a singles match between Yoko and Vader. It is a six-man tag. They didn't make it a six-man tag because they ran out of time. Like timing-wise, they didn't have enough, or is it because they were like Yoko and Vader can't do a singles match?
I think it was both. I think they wanted to get all six of these guys on the card, and they didn't have time. They would have, they would have had enough time if they didn't have a 60-minute match. But yeah, I think it was a little bit of both.
Okay, yeah, I think it's fair. All right, so in this match, Yokozuna and Vader, they do start off right away, but everyone joins in. It's a melee until the faces are left standing. Ahmed Johnson, while all the bad guys are outside, Ahmed Johnson dives onto Vader onto the floor. For a big man, it's pretty impressive. And then Vader and Yokozuna, they face off again in the ring. They fight each other a little bit. Then Ahmed Johnson tags in. He cleans house until Vader cheap shots him. By the way, somewhere during this match, Mr. Fuji is shown being back at ringside, but this time he's waving the American flag. So both Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji are now good guys, just randomly.
Well, they hate Jim Cornette, but they love America now. So
Yeah.
they want to make America great again and spike Jim Cornette. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Jake Roberts, he tags in, and then he cleans house until he gets hit with a knee. And then, he gets beat on. Yokozuna hot tags, and then he cleans up. And then the melee happens again. And then Jake Roberts DDTs Owen Hart, but the referee is distracted. And then while the referee is distracted, Jim Cornette tries to attack Jake Roberts, but Jake Roberts catches him in the act. But then he is blindsided by Vader, who Vader bombs Jake Roberts to win the match. One thing to note, I did see the superfan Vlad in attendance in the front row, all the way in fucking California, dude. This guy is really, yeah. He's spending a lot of money in 1996 to go see this shit show, because this was a shit opening match. I gave it a C+. What about you, Ray? Thoughts?
There's some moments like Vader and Yokozuna traded soup bones. I thought that was good. And I don't know, Yokozuna starts really hitting Vader at one point. I think almost like, if you want to do what I do.
Because Vader's fucking like really hitting him in the beginning. And I think Yokozuna snaps to the point where he snaps. Yeah, he's like, fucking guy, keep hitting me in the face.
If you want to do this, I can do it. So
yeah, that was a fun moment. Yes.
That was interesting. And the other interesting thing about this match is Ahmed Johnson had a little bit of fire, but I really think that I don't know how it's going on weekly TV, but I kind of feel like they're missing the boat on a lot of these guys in this match. Well, mainly Ahmed and Vader. I just think they're not doing these guys any favors. They have two guys that could potentially be a difference makers, and they're just kind of booking them like it's almost like we don't want you to be. Not that we don't need you to be, because we need whatever, but we don't really want you to be. That's the way I get. I'm really getting the sense that they brought Vader in to be like, "You're not shit."
Or maybe they signed him, but then after like Junior maybe had a meeting when like started talking to him, he was like, "This guy's a fucking idiot," you know. And maybe the first few people who started complaining about him, like, "This guy fucking hit me in the face for real." Junior started going like, "Yo, this guy isn't it," you know. I
Yeah,
think
maybe not.
I think like yeah, maybe it's kind of like initially he signs him up, and then when he starts talking to him and he gets to know him, he realizes he's a pile of dog shit. I like Vader, but I think I would have fucking hated working with this guy. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
he,
Well,
he's an
but
asshole.
in a few months, there he's gonna learn. He's gonna learn a valuable lesson. Not
A
potato,
well
the
deserved
heartbreak kid.
lesson. A well deserved lesson. All right. So after that match, we get a match that I remember very fond. I remember it being promoted very, very well, or being promoted a lot when I was a kid. Remember, I didn't watch any of these WrestleManias when I was a kid. I couldn't afford it. We're gonna go to match number 2. It is Roddy Piper versus Goldust. Now, initially, this was supposed to be, I believe, Razor Ramon, right? But Razor Ramon is still with this company, but he's left off of WrestleMania. Why is that?
Failed the drug test, and also he announced he was going to WCW. So they're
Uh,
like, they gave him a drug test, and he quote unquote failed it. So they were like, "Guess what? You're not gonna have a match."
you're not going to have this fantastic match with Goldust. And I'm sure Razor Ramon was like, okay, all right,
Mm-hmm.
you showed me, Junior. So it's Roddy Piper, who is the acting president of WBF at this in this storyline, versus Goldust. They recap how they started feuding and stuff. And it's not going to be a regular match. It's called a Hollywood Backlot Brawl. And it's not going to take place in the ring. We see Marlena in the back smoking a cigar with champagne, and she's watching a TV, which takes us to the parking lot in California. And this parking lot of this arena, and Roddy Piper is standing in the parking lot with a bat. All of a sudden, this gold Cadillac shows up, and it tries to like it rushes right towards Roddy and then just stops like in front of him. I was like, what? And then Roddy Piper he gets a hose and he starts spraying the Cadillac with water, and then he starts smashing the Cadillac with a bat. He pulls Goldust out of it. He starts speeding on Goldust, throwing him into craft service tables, throwing him to dumpsters, and then Piper does a terrible looking body slam on with Goldust on the hood of the car. Goldust is bleeding on top of his head. Piper decides to throw some real punches to Goldust's face. He goes, I just saw Vader throw some real punches to Yokozuna. I'm gonna show this youngster how it's done. And he throws a real punch, starts throwing real punches in Goldust's face, and he fucks up his hand. His hand's all bloody. Goldust low blows Roddy Piper. Then he tries to run him over with the car. Roddy's on the hood and he's driving. Goldust is driving Roddy on the hood. And then Piper gets off the car. He gets in a white Bronco, and Piper chases Goldust in the Cadillac with the white Bronco. And then we come back to the arena after that. This is not the end of this match, but give me your thoughts about the back lot part of the backlot brawl?
When I was younger, this was my favorite part of the show. Um,
The backlot brawl when you're
nowadays,
fighting the parking lot?
yeah, nowadays I'm not so sure if it's still my favorite part of the show, but it's
Why
definitely
was this?
different. I mean, it's definitely Roddy Piper really got hit by that car.
Yeah, he did. And
That's
he
a
really
shoot,
punched,
brother.
yeah, and he really punched Goldust in the face, bloodied his hand. His
Yeah,
hand's legit bleeding. Goldust is legit bleeding on top of his head. Um,
yeah. So those are all shoots, brother.
there's
Um,
shoots, man.
but whatchamacallit? Nowadays looking back on it, I mean, it's different. I mean, you got to give it that, but I don't know what else you could give it. Definitely different, right?
Yeah, it is different. You're right. I'll give it that. It is different.
I
Then
mean, this
after
show
that,
kind of different.
yeah, I guess it is. It wasn't like my favorite thing. However, it's not over yet. We're gonna come back to it. We're gonna go to match number 3, though. In the meantime, it is Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's right. He's already Stone Cold Steve Austin here, but he's no longer the ringmaster. He's Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he's still the $1 million champion. He comes out with Ted DiBiase. He's gonna take on Savio Vega. Uh,
Stereo.
Savio Vega, he talks to Doc Hendricks before this match, and he talks about Austin's rivalry. He says it in English and in Spanish. I think if Savio was not fat, they would have used him better. Because
Yeah.
I can see like he's perfect for the Latino market because he can
Mm-hmm.
speak Spanish and English, but he's just like so fucking out of shape. It's like
Yeah.
um so Austin and Savio, they fight right away. And then during the middle of this match, we get Roddy Piper on the cell phone. That's right, cellular phones in 1996. And he's like, he starts calling Goldust a fruitcake on the phone. And we're watching this match. During this match, it's back and forth. But then during this match, we get footage of the white Bronco chasing Goldust on the highway and the freeway, but it's actually the O.J. Simpson footage. I always thought this was cheesy. It's still cheesy to this day, but I guess I just want to. I don't know what they were thinking. Just like it's funny, haha, like wink, wink. I don't know what the point of that was.
Mhm.
Then
I don't know.
Savio,
I don't know what the point of it is either. Yeah.
yeah, Savio Vega, he has Austin on the ropes, but then he goes for a spinning heel kick, his finisher, and then he misses and he hits the referee. And as the referee is down, Ted DiBiase distracts Savio Vega a little bit, and then Austin nails Savio Vega with the $1 million championship belt twice, and then he applies the $1 million dream. Still not using the stunner at this point, just still kind of like in the ringmaster mode, but just his name's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Ted DiBiase, he pours soda on the referee's face to wake him up, and the referee goes and checks up on Savio Vega, who's passed out, and he gives the win to Steve Austin. This was a throwaway match. It was mainly used for the Roddy Piper, OJ Simpson stuff, so I gave this match a C. It's just an average match. What about you? What did you think?
It's not good because, like you said, they're just not. They're not like paying attention. This is just a match to keep the humor going with the Roddy Piper OJ shit, which people, I mean, at this point in '96, people were so over OJ Simpson. Like, it just dominated for 2 years. Nobody cared anymore. And Vince is still like, get it. It's OJ's Bronco.
Yeah, it's so like he's so out of touch. You're
Mhm.
right. Like that's so out of touch because that was what was that? Like that was 1994, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, dude, I think he was like in 1994. He was like, how can I capitalize on this? How can I
Well,
capitalize
you know,
on
their
this?
idea was Roddy Piper had an idea he wanted to fight OJ.
Really?
I think they like made one cold OJ, and then they were like, "This is a really bad idea, even for us." Like the whole idea was that OJ would not get in any offense, and Piper would just beat the shit out of him for like 10 minutes.
Uh, I guess. Actually, they should have done that.
I don't think they would have came back from that.
You don't think so?
I think that was when Vince Russo is even like, "That's a little bit too much." No one would have forgiven us. I mean, the guy The guy might have been. I mean, I don't think he did it. I have a crazy theory who did it, but I don't want to get into it right now. The guy was a murderer. I mean,
Was it Junior? Junior's the
I
murder?
did it. Listen, I don't know. I think they. I don't think they could have came back from that. I think once Hogan. I think they would. I think that would have been the thing that drove them out of. I don't think they could have recovered. I think that negative publicity would have been so much that I don't know if they could have, because they never. I don't know. They've just never done anything with a guy who's accused of murder, and they're like playing up the murder. You know what I mean? Because Piper
Yeah.
also wouldn't be able to help himself. Piper would have said probably shit like, "This is for Nicole Simpson, and this is for Ron Goldman. You slit their throats, you fucking, you know what? You know what I mean?"
Yeah, Piper would have just started you fruitcake. Like if I
You
yeah.
murdered that woman.
Piper would
Murder
have done
me. Like,
he would have gone overboard like he always does. Yeah, you're right. That's good. I mean, it's a crazy idea. So yeah. Anyways, What a throw! I think it was just like, yeah, it was such a waste of a fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin Savio Vega match. But I guess it helped them get a payday each. So whatever. It is what it is. But after that, we go to the back. Mr. Perfect, he is with Diesel. Yeah, Mr. Perfect is now in the backstage interview role. And he's recapping all the issues Diesel's had with Undertaker. And Diesel's like, hey, I'm cool about it, man. And he goes, Taker, Big Daddy takes the cool of you. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Right? Like, I swear to God, I don't know what the fuck that means. Big Daddy takes cool of you. Like, I think he was trying to say takes care of you, but it says takes cool of you. I don't know what that means. And then he goes, good luck to Shawn Michaels later tonight, and I'm gonna see you next. So that's leading up to, I guess, the In Your House match. Nothing much. But we do get more Bronco shots. Bronco being chased around, still OJ Simpson footage. It's like almost like he finally got an idea in 1996 of like, oh, this is what we could do. And it's like, well, Vince, it's 2 years old. It's the moment's past. He goes, no, we're gonna still do it. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. But we're gonna go to match number 4. We just talked about him. Hunter Helmsley with Sable. He's been coming out with valets, and this time he's with Sable, and versus the returning Ultimate Warrior. That's right. Ultimate Warrior returns to WWF at WrestleMania 12. Ultimate Warrior, because it's his return, he celebrates for a very long time with fans and so forth. So then Triple H starts attacking him from behind, and he hits his finisher, the pedigree, and the Warrior just pops right up, no sells it, and the crowd loves it. Then Warrior gorilla presses Hunter, and then he splashes him, the Warrior splash, to win the match. This is like a 2-minute match, like C. What about you? What did you think?
It was great because that's what Triple H should be doing, just jobbing, just looking like an idiot. I love it because I don't care about Triple H. Here's the thing, though. The crowd, first of all, the crowd's dead this whole show. The crowd doesn't really give Warrior much of a pop. I mean, they don't really seem to care that he's here. He kind of looks bloated. I do love it, like their idea, Triple H, they do like, oh, I wanted to have a back and forth match. Like Triple H proposed that Warrior that he wanted to have like a back and forth match, like a real match where they're like, what, and Warrior was just like, no. And I'm like, what made you think Warrior would want to have a back and forth match with you, Triple H? Like at your level where you were.
I guess he didn't think Warrior was like, this is before like people like knew like what kind of a guy Warrior was,
Yeah, but Warrior got over by squashing Honky Tonk Man. You're a Honky Tonk Man, Hunter. Sorry.
Yeah, but like in the beginning, what I'm saying is like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Triple H knew this guy was a jackass.
I don't think he was I don't think he's a jackass. I think this is the way to get him over. Renegade had a back and forth match with Arn Anderson, looked like a fucking idiot. I think Warrior's like, the way to get me over is to have me just run over you.
Yeah, I know, but Triple H is also thinking about himself, and he's like, hey, I would love to just have a back and forth match, and I think he probably asked because he's like thinking about himself, but he didn't realize Warrior was just gonna be a jerk. Because if Warrior was a nice guy, he might be like, yeah, we could do that. I'll let you get some offense in.
No, because Hunter's also off for himself. So I think Warrior's like,
I didn't know Ultimate Warrior was so hated until like the internet started coming into existence. You know that?
yeah, all the wrestlers hated him.
Yeah, but like maybe back then Triple H was also like very naive and like, oh, this guy would be. He's probably a nice guy, and he'll probably let me get some shit in. That's how I was thinking. He thought wrong. He thought wrong, though.
He thought wrong.
He thought wrong. Yeah, he 100% thought wrong. But all right, yeah, I thought so far I'm not liking this. These are all just like small, average matches.
It's not a good show.
Not a good show. But we're gonna probably go to like might be probably the best match on the card. Which is one of the best matches on the card. Match number 5 is Diesel versus Undertaker, who comes out with Paul Bear. These two big guys, they start fighting right away. They fight around the ring with Diesel. He gets thrown into the steel steps. They fight some more. Undertaker, he has a chair, and he swings the chair, and he misses. I think if he hit him, it probably would have been a DQ. I'm not sure. But this allows the miss allows Diesel to throw Undertaker into the rails and then ram him into the post to start getting some heat and take over in the offense. By the way, this is while they were fighting is where I first noticed the bowl cut kid. Do you know the bowl cut kid fan, super fan?
No, I don't.
Okay, so this kid is kind of infamous online. He is going to starting from this pay per view. WrestleMania 12 is the first time you're going to see him. He's a kid in the front row. He's got like a bowl cut hair. He's a little chubby, and he's always like yelling and stuff. He's like raging. You're gonna see him at like every WWF and not every, but you're gonna see him in a lot of WWF and WCW pay per views. And nobody still to this day knows who he is. Some people have came out and said I'm this kid, but it's all been proven wrong. Nobody knows who he is. They don't know his identity. But this is the first pay per view you can actually see him. But anyway,
Okay.
Going back to this match, they do this thing where remember Ultimate Undertaker and Diesel are both really big guys. So they do this thing where they both do a double big boot to each other and they both go down and they both slowly get up. Then Diesel puts on a headlock, and when he puts on a headlock on Undertaker, Jerry the King Lawler shouts, "You got him, baby!" And I was like, "Oh shit, this is where Adam Cole stole that. Adam Cole stole it from Jerry the King Lawler."
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's exactly where you go, baby. Um, it was so weird. He shouted that out for a fucking headlock, but but that's what he did.
Hmm.
Anyway, Diesel, who has the upper edge, hits the jackknife powerbomb on Undertaker, but doesn't go for a cover. He soaks up the booze, and then he starts taunting the Undertaker, who gets up, who does a sit up, but then Diesel just grabs him and hits a second jackknife cover, still doesn't cover him, and he starts taunting the fans. And then after he taunts the fans, he decides to finally go down for the cover. But when he goes down, Undertaker death grips um, Diesel in the throat, and then Undertaker choke slams Diesel, and then hits his tombstone to win the match. I gave this a B. This was actually an entertaining match. I don't think I've ever seen these two guys go at it, but it's fun watching. It's actually fun watching Undertaker go against another big guy who can actually work. Like whenever he goes
Yeah.
up, Undertaker was either going against smaller guys like Bret Hart or going up against like big guys like Kama and Mabel who really couldn't work that well. But to see him go up against like a legit like threat like Diesel, it was very fun to watch, and I liked it personally. It wasn't the best match, but it was the best one on this show so far. What did you think?
I will say that this was the best Undertaker match at WrestleMania yet. This was definitely his best match at WrestleMania. Diesel really helped get him over. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah. So far, so good. Then we get a package of Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart that's narrated by Michael Cole. And afterwards, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, they both get a few words in. And then we go back to the ring, and Howard Finkel welcomes back Gorilla Monsoon, who was attacked by Vader many months ago. He welcomes Gorilla Monsoon back as the president, who is Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I skipped over a whole fucking great moment. Sorry about that. So after
Sorry.
scratch off everything I just said. So after the Undertaker match, Todd Pettengill, he's in the security control room and he's showing the video footage of like Goldust being chased by Piper, the Cadillac being chased by the white Bronco, and all of a sudden they arrive to the arena and they both park in the arena, and the cameramen follow Goldust rejoining Marlena as Piper is walking around looking for both of them. And then he finally finds them in the arena, in the walkway, and he stalks Goldust to the ring, and they start fighting in the ring. And Goldust is getting the edge on Roddy Piper. He starts beating on Roddy Piper with kicks, and then he sets up Piper in the pile driver position, and then puts his hands on Roddy Piper's ass, and he starts rubbing Roddy Piper's ass, and then he low blows Roddy Piper. By the way, this is all getting a big reaction from the crowd. And then Goldust, he mounts on top of Roddy Piper and he starts rubbing his chest, and he tries to kiss Roddy Piper, but eventually, and Roddy Piper fights it off, but eventually Goldust does get to kiss Roddy Piper. and this pisses off the crowd, and this pisses off Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper gets so mad, he grabs Goldust's dick. Right? He grabs it,
Mhm.
and people are cheering. And then he fucking makes fucking Goldust fall down, and then he knees his Goldust's dick, and he spanks him a little bit, and then he starts stripping Goldust. And when he strips off Goldust's bodysuit, it reveals that Goldust is wearing lingerie underneath. And then Roddy Piper kisses Goldust, which angered him to begin with, which is the only part that didn't make sense to me. And then he knees Goldust in the groin again. Marlena and Goldust leave as Piper is left standing. Um, this dude, the crowd's really into this. I liked it a lot. I gave this a B. This was great. This was fantastic. It was fun to watch.
Oh wow, I'm surprised. Yeah, I think overall the Goldust Roddy Piper stuff is the best stuff on the show. Even though it's kind of cheesy because it's
It's
interesting, it's
cheesy
different.
now, but people have to understand this is like 1996, right?
Yeah.
Like I hate it when you can't be like watching stuff from the past and being like you have it's
Oh,
now.
nowadays you wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't cancel it. That's not fair. Like it was like a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Mhm.
And it was what it was, and it was fun to watch. Just him wearing, like lingerie underneath and everything. It was just fun. It was interesting. And you know what? Roddy Piper's old at this point. He can't really wrestle that well. And like this is the best you're gonna get out of him. Just like these walking brawls. So
Mhm.
it was
Yeah,
was
I liked it, and I think it's the best thing on the show still to this day. It's different, and this
do
show needed different because
you think it was better than the Taker Diesel match? Yeah, actually it is. That actually I
yeah,
think
it
it is.
is because
I think it is.
it's different because it's like Roddy Piper's getting hit by a car. It tells a story that goes out throughout the show. It's interesting and it's like a good use of Goldust. And this is it for Piper. Piper goes to WCW. He's never the same with Vince after this. This is kind of like the end of the road for Piper. I mean, he does. I mean, him and Hogan make a lot of money at the end of the year at Starrcade '96. But for me, Piper in WCW, it was never. I mean, he's already never been the same since 1990, but he's been less the same after he goes to WCW. So.
Yeah. So after this match, like I mentioned, we're back in the ring with Gorilla Monsoon. It is for the main event. It is the Iron Man match for the WWF Championship.
Mhm.
They start bringing out the contender, and actually it comes out Jose Lothario, which when I was a kid, actually until the Los Lotharios, I thought Lothario was just this guy's last name. It's not. It's actually a word, right?
Yeah.
I really just thought his name was Jose Lothario. I didn't realize that was a word for something until Los Lotharios, which is like that was like during the pandemic. That was like four
Yeah.
years ago. So Jose Lothario comes out and they're like, "Where's Shawn Michaels? Where's Shawn Michaels?" And he gets in the ring and Jose points and there's Shawn Michaels all the way up in the rafters, all the way to the top of the arena, and he swing lines down an iconic WrestleMania moment. And he's gonna be fighting Bret Hart, who just very boringly just comes out like a regular dude. Earl Hebner's the referee. He lays out all the rules, but very slowly because I guess he thinks wrestling fans are idiots. He like goes like,
Hmm.
"Hey, you got a pinfall counts, submission counts, count out
Yeah.
that counts too." It's just like what the fuck, dude. Like, anyways, everything counts. Bret Hart gives his trademark glasses to his son, which is such a waste. Can you imagine you're one of those like lucky kids, like you get front row and you're like hoping to get fucking Bret Hart's glasses, and he gives it to his fucking son who could get it any fucking day he wants, right?
Well, I think it was to celebrate that his family's there.
If I was a kid, I would have been annoyed. I would have been like, Bret, you asshole. You would have lost. You lose a fan for life, Bret Hart.
I think Vince also. I have a theory that Vince would have little things happen with the kids in case one of the kids became a wrestler because he knew he had Rocky, and that way he could make videos. Like look at the history of Dominic. Like
Yeah,
Dominic,
like
this
a
dude,
callback. Yeah,
this is the 20-year anniversary of Dominic as a WWE character this year,
yeah.
and this guy's just getting started. So I feel like every now and then Vince was like, "Oh, just like say hi to your kid." And like that way, if the kid becomes a wrestler, I've got this. Like, look, Blade's. We saw Blade at WrestleMania 12, and now he's main eventing WrestleMania 32. But Blade didn't become a wrestler, so I'm
Yeah, and
surprised none of
that's
Bret
why
Hart's kids
Nicholas.
became wrestlers.
What?
I'm surprised none of Bret Hart's kids became wrestlers. You would think he's the type of guy that would be like, I need you to become a wrestler right now. You know,
No, I think the screw job
Montreal and Owens.
really. I think the screw job and the Owen thing probably made him like. I think it made the entire family kind of sour on wrestling for a while, and then the
Mhm.
kids saw how like fucking devastating it is.
Yeah.
So if anything, I can totally understand why a lot of the Hearts end up not wanting to be in wrestling because so many of them died. Owen,
Mhm.
Davey, Jim, they all kind of like. Well, Jim died nine heart. Actually, he died, he still technically died young. A lot of them died really young, and it's like, fuck yeah, it's just like I would not. If I was Bret Hart, I would actually tell my kids. I'd be like, you see what happens. Don't ever get involved in wrestling. I would even warn them if I was Bret Hart. I'd be like, don't ever fucking do it. Well, you can enjoy it, you can watch it. Don't ever fucking do it. Look what it did to your uncle. Look what it did to our family. I don't talk to your I don't talk to your brother Bruce anymore. Look what it did. I would feel like this is um yeah, I totally get it. Anyways, before this match, Junior and Jerry King Lawler they start analyzing who they think is gonna win, how it's gonna work. And Jerry King Lawler, there's a point where Junior says something, and then Jerry King Lawler goes, "If you were a little smarter, you'll know how dumb you just sounded right now." And Junior's like, "Thank you." That's not a compliment, you idiots, right? That was funny though. That was a funny moment. They do show Freddie Blassie, who at this point he's still alive. He's sitting with Stu Hart. They're both these old timers sitting there in front row watching this match. Back and forth in the beginning. Feel free to chime in whenever you
Dude,
want,
I,
Brad.
I I have really not much to say about this match.
Okay.
I I I don't know what to tell you. It's so bad. It's
I
so
don't
bad.
think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad.
All right.
So in the beginning, it's slow. Yeah, they do a lot of. See, the beginning, the storytelling that they're trying to tell in the beginning is that um, Shawn Michaels is actually on Bret Hart's level because I think at this point people are still not seeing Shawn Michaels as being on Bret Hart's level. But the whole first part of this match is to show that because it's doing a lot of back and forth with Bret Hart trying to put on a move to Shawn Michaels and Shawn Michaels reversing it every single time. And then he finally, Shawn Michaels, who's more of a high flyer, he finally does a head scissors, which sends Bret Hart outside the ring. And Bret Hart like slaps the mat because he's frustrated. And they mention, oh, he's frustrated. And so the first 15 minutes, they're just wrestling a technical match. Literally at the first 15 minutes, technical mat based match with Shawn Michaels getting the upper hand every time. And right at the 15-minute mark, Bret Hart clotheslines Shawn Michaels over the top rope to the floor, which gets some boos from the crowd because he's the first one to start going hard because he's not winning. So they fight on the floor a bit, and there's a point where Bret Hart is sitting on the timekeeper, and Shawn Michaels goes for the sweet chin music. Bret Hart gets out of the way, and Shawn Michaels hits the fucking timekeeper. That was a cool spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
And
was
then
okay.
yeah, so then Shawn Michaels keeps out wrestling Bret Hart, right? It continues. So Bret starts hitting Shawn harder. Like he starts doing some punches and stuff. And then because he's hitting punches and stuff, Shawn Michaels starts returning the hard hits. And then Jerry the King Lawler, he starts. I could see the storyline they're trying to. I could see the storyline they're trying to build because if you also remember the beginning of the match, the first 15, 20 minutes, Jerry the King Lawler keeps mentioning, "Oh, I thought Shawn Michaels was gonna do that Mexican stuff. He's not doing that Mexican stuff. I thought he was gonna be like a Mexican jumping bean. He's not." Like they keep mentioning the whole, the term lucha libre wasn't so big back in 1996, but that's what he's talking about. Like Shawn Michaels more that style, but he's not doing it, and they're trying to show that he's equal to Bret. Finally, at the 30-minute mark, which is the halfway point, Bret starts getting his shit in, his fucking Russian leg sweep and, um, what do you call it? His fucking elbow drops. And then He starts getting his shit in, but then he does a there. He's up on the top rope and he has Shawn Michaels and he's trying to do this like diving knee drop thing, and then it causes causes a ref bump, which is kind of odd because okay, the ref went down and then nothing happened. The ref eventually just got back up. Remember, we're 30 minutes in. So there was like nobody has yet to actually have a pinfall or anything or a submission.
Yeah, when
Shawn Michaels,
I would look at the clock of this match, like, how is this? This is so, and the crowd just seems so bored. And this is just, there's nothing about this that screams me WrestleMania. This is just like, dude, this is some Tony Khan stickle bullshit. Oh man, I can't take this match. I've
so
tried, dude.
I will
I've
agree
tried
with
for
you on that.
25 years.
I will agree with you on that. While I understand the story they're trying to tell, it is kind of boring, right? And
It's
you
not.
can
It's not what WWE is about. It's not what Vince promotes. It's not nothing. And I'm just, you know what would it, you know, if they had just had a regular match with near falls and just a regular wrestling match and had it go 30 minutes or 40 minutes even, the crowd would have been on their fucking feet. But people know nothing's going to happen until the last few seconds.
yeah, that's a good
And I
point.
think going 0-0 for this long was another mistake
That was a
because
mistake. I think they should have had some pinfalls. Yes,
if Bret
or
Hart goes 2 up and then there's 15 minutes left, if you're a Shawn Michaels fan, you're like, Shawn, you've got to do it. Let's go. Move. But instead, it's like these guys are doing nothing.
yeah,
So, like,
that's true.
I could imagine people watching this and somebody leaves the room to like check their computer, like, what happened? Oh, nothing yet. Okay, call me when something happens. Like, it's just like, and you're devoting an hour of the show to this.
Yeah, that's true. Over an hour. We're gonna see
For
it's
over
gonna
an
go
hour.
over. Yeah. So Shawn Michaels has this cool spot where he goes up on the top rope and he does like a long distance dive to the floor onto Bret, and then he throws him back in the ring and he does a perfect plex, but only gets a 2 count, which was a cool spot too. Bret Hart backdrops Shawn Michaels over the top turnbuckle onto the floor, who almost hits a cameraman, and from there, Bret Hart goes and he rams Shawn Michaels into the post. Um, and then he starts beating on him. Bret like Irish whips Shawn Michaels up and over the top rope, and then Shawn Michaels lands on Jose Lothario. Then Bret postures the crowd, and he starts getting booed again. Bret whips Shawn Michaels into the steps, knocking down Jose Lothario again. Bret dives onto Shawn Michaels from the ring to the floor when there's 12 minutes left, and fans are booing Bret Hart at this point. Superplex by Bret Hart at the 6 minute mark, and then he starts looking for the sharpshooter 6 minutes in, and this is where the action really starts picking up. They start going back and forth. The last 3 minutes of this match are very thrilling, lots of action, lots of covers. Bret finally catches Shawn Michaels in the sharpshooter when there's 30 seconds left. The crowd is in a frenzy, and when it's 10 seconds left, they start doing a countdown with the clock, and they cheer when the time expires because Shawn Michaels has not given up. Bret Hart just grabs his belt and he starts leaving, but Gorilla Monsoon comes into the ring and he orders the referee to make this match continue under sudden death rules. So Bret, frustrated, comes back to the ring. He's so frustrated, annoyed that he has to keep wrestling that he throws the belt down. He starts arguing with Gorilla Monsoon for a little bit, and he goes, "All right, ring the bell, ring the bell," and he starts beating on Shawn Michaels. And then Shawn Michaels hits the Sweet Chin music, and they're both down, and they both struggle to their feet. But when they get up to their feet, Shawn Michaels hits the second Sweet Chin music to win the match. So, anything you want to add before we get into
No,
the post-match shit?
no, this was horrible. This is horrible because here's the deal. It's not even like a true Iron Man match because it's not like someone won on points. They go to like a regular match finish anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
it's
true.
it's it's I don't know, dude. I'm sorry I've been so silent. I have tried to watch this match over and over and over again because WWE like just puts this match on DVDs. They put this match on compilations. I rented WrestleMania 12. I've tried to watch WrestleMania 12 when I have these marathons. This match has never done anything for me. It is the worst WrestleMania main event of all time. I'm sorry.
Wow.
And it was the wrong move at the wrong time. I'll tell you, man, when I said to somebody, what's the main event of WrestleMania this year? Remember, I'm not watching. And they go, Bret Hart, Shawn in a 60-minute Iron Man match. I said to myself, thank God I'm not watching. Like, dude, It's like they're punishing you. It's like they're punishing you, man. It's so bad, dude. This is like only for Bret and Shawn. But it's just not for me. I don't think it's for the crowd does not pop. Shawn Michaels, dude. So last night, I'll give you a little backstory. I get a
Yeah.
text from a guy who has a bar show down the block. And he goes, "Hey, I just had a cancellation. If you can get here in 20 minutes, I'll give you time." And I said, "Okay." So I watched the finish of Shawn winning, and I'll watch his celebration. And I checked the time. His celebration was 8 minutes long. So I said, "I'll come back." I thought maybe like Peacock's version added like a promo backstage or something. I go, I do my set, I come back, I get a salad. I sit down with a salad. Do you know I finished that salad before his celebration was over? They have this guy in the ring for 8 fucking minutes to silence, and
Well,
he's
we should talk about that celebration because this is actually a very pivotal moment between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Okay. So
yes,
if you guys are a wrestling fan, you know these two hate each other. And this is really
they
where
hate
it
it. They don't do it
begins.
anymore. But yes, they
Yeah,
do.
they hate each other, and this is where it begins. If you Bret Hart has multiple times in multiple interviews throughout the years have said that when Shawn Michaels won the belt, he said, "Get him the fuck out of my ring." Okay. Now, if you watch the celebration, Shawn Michaels is on his knees and he's saying something to Earl Hebner, right? And he's very animated in how he's saying. He's like not like throwing his thing around, but you could tell he's shouting it. And then Earl Hebner hears what Shawn Michaels is saying, and then he goes over to Bret Hart. Bret Hart is still selling. He's like laying on the mat, like he's like face down on the mat. And when Earl Hebner goes over and he says something, all of a sudden Bret Hart like looks up and he just starts getting up. So, and then after that,
So
Earl
according
Hebner,
to Bret,
yes,
this was planned by Shawn and him because Bret goes to the back, gets in his car, and leaves. He doesn't take a shower, say goodbye to everyone. He wanted people to think he was legit pissed at Shawn, and
okay,
he wanted it to get out to the hardcore fans that Shawn said, "Get the fuck out of the ring." That's what Bret claims.
okay. So if this was a work, then how come in these and Brett does go in the later interviews, he talks about how like yeah they planned this, but he doesn't talk about him saying get the fuck out of my ring as part of the
I,
work.
I don't think that was part of the work. Well, so the plan that Bret had is that Shawn beats him this match. Bret Hart
Yes.
storms out pissed, comes back, beats Shawn the second match. And then they have a third match where Shawn wins again, and Bret finally goes, "I accept you as my better." They shake hands, he raises his hand, and then that's it. Like, Shawn is now the king of the mountain. He's now, like Bret has said, like, "You are the best." That was Bret's plan. Um, and it doesn't happen because of a lot of things, but it doesn't happen.
Well, so I've heard this interview, I've heard this scenario that he talks about in interviews a lot. And I remember I'm a big Bret Hart fan, right? He's my favorite
Mhm.
wrestler of all time. But even I will admit, and he talks about like, it's a great idea. But when I told Sean, like the color on his face just disappeared and he didn't like the idea. I was like, yeah, maybe because for Sean it's not a good idea. Like just because you think it's a good idea doesn't mean Shawn Michaels has to agree that's a good idea. That's kind of like where I see like Brett's like you're kind of controlling, man. Like maybe maybe he should have asked Sean what the idea do you want to do? You know,
Well, I think
like I'm not saying it was a bad idea, by the way, but
I,
what I'm
I
saying is
I think it's Sean's mind is like, well, you did put me over. I just won a 60-minute Iron Man match at WrestleMania. Like, I'm already
yes,
over.
that's how I'm
So
seeing it too. Yes.
Bret also, I don't think there would have been any box office for Bret really, and Bret's under the assumption, and I guess Sean's on the assumption that they're going to do the rematch at WrestleMania 13. I don't know, with the NWO riding high and everything going on with WCW, I don't know if that would have drawn as a WrestleMania main event. I don't know if people would have gave a shit. Sean pretends to get injured, which we'll talk about. We have a lot to talk about as we get through
Mhm.
97. So
Yeah.
they don't do the match. Then they're gonna do the match. I kind of think like, yes, they should have had two more matches, right? And I think I like the Survivor Series match better than this actually. Before the screw job hits, that's actually a better match. But I don't know. It's like it's just like how many times does Bret Hart have to put over Shawn to say that Shawn's the man? Shawn's clearly the man. I mean, and the year he has, if anyone in he's not the man to me because I wasn't watching. He's not the man to the fans because nobody's watching. But in the eyes of the company, he's the fucking man. He main events every pay per view for a year. How much more of the man can you be? You know?
Yeah. So then so anyways, um by the way, so after Earl tells Bret Hart, like, you got to get out of the ring, he goes, Earl Hebner goes over to Jose Lothario, who's in the ring, and he basically says it to Jose, and Jose just quickly gets out of the ring. So Shawn Michaels, I guess, like, he just wanted to be alone in the ring to celebrate. And
Comes
here's the
across,
thing.
you know, after seeing the Cody thing and the Bret thing 2 years ago, this comes across very sad because he's got no one in the ring. We're not supposed to know his friends were his friends because of kayfabe, you know, so they're not there. And the crowd isn't cheering. I'm sitting at home in 1996, not watching, and I don't buy this guy's champ. And everyone's watching WCW. And this used to be the company's biggest event of the year. Hulk Hogan sold 97,000 seats at WrestleMania 3. Dave Meltzer documented it. And now it's like, you know, Dave Meltzer was there, and he said people were, as soon as Shawn Michaels won, people were just leaving in droves. That's why you don't really see a wide shot. People just started leaving to beat traffic. They're like, all right, it's over, let's go. Like, no one stayed to like watch him celebrate. It's very sad. And the fact that he chases everyone out of the ring and he just stands there alone for 8 fucking minutes is it's I don't know. It comes across very sad.
and
We know now this guy's on all the drugs in the world, and this should be a big moment, and instead it's like this almost kills WWF. You
yeah,
know?
and by the way, going to the get him the fuck out of my ring that Bret has accused Shawn Michaels of. I've never heard Shawn Michaels deny this either.
Well, no. Bruce Pritchard said he didn't say. Well, Bruce Pritchard defends Shawn. He goes, he didn't say get the fuck out of my ring because he was like, I don't want him out of my ring. He's a piece of shit. He had to hit his time cue celebrating, and he couldn't have Bret in his way because we had an idea for down the line. Like
Okay,
we all
so
had,
so basically everyone's admitting or agreeing that Shawn did say getting the fuck out of my
yeah,
ring.
but
But
Shawn and Bruce are
everybody's
like
but there's misinterpretations of it, is what you're
Shawn
saying.
and Bruce are like he's not saying it to be a. We're not. I'm not saying that to Bret to be a dick. I'm like we gotta like fucking move. You know,
Yeah, I see. I see.
we have
Okay.
to. We have to. The storyline is you leave, and my storyline is I'm in the ring, and we have to like hit those shots. We have to hit those marks.
Okay.
That's
All right.
that's what
So
Shawn and Bruce Pritchard's
I see. Okay.
defense.
So that's one thing we've 100% really know, that he 100% said it. It was just misinterpreted depending on who you are.
Do
What's
kind
really
of think.
funny though, I'll tell you this though.
Yeah.
As Shawn Michaels is celebrating, Earl Hebner is trying to put the belt on Shawn Michaels, and when he's taking a little too long, Shawn Michaels even shoves Earl Hebner
Oh,
away.
it's so
Yeah, he
awful. It's
shoves
so
him out. He basically is
unlikable.
even that he's like, I don't want even you, dude. Stop touching me. Get the fuck out. I want to be alone. I gotta have my moment by myself.
Well, you had your one by yourself because nobody was watching. Nobody was
Yeah,
watching.
yeah,
And you almost drove the company out of business. So
yeah.
so I'm glad you
Event,
had your little moment by yourself, Sean.
yeah. Eventually, Jose Lothario's allowed back in the ring, and
I'm
they
gonna be
kind
like,
of
you have to
hug.
leave the ring.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They hug a little bit, but yeah, I gave this match a B because I understand the story they're trying to tell, and I don't think it's a terrible match. It's like it is what it is. But this is uh this is a pretty shitty. It's not a good WrestleMania. Like
It
not
just
even the undercard is overwhelmed underwhelming. You know?
it doesn't feel like WrestleMania. It feels like a Raw. The main event is just too long. It's weird. Also, the other thing that takes away from this version on Peacock is they took away Todd Pentagale's narration of the videos, the Goldust video and the Shawn Michaels video, and Michael Cole is doing it. You can tell Michael Cole does not want to do it. Like they pulled him into a room and they're like, just read these lines. You know, he's not in the company yet in '96.
Mm.
So they and it sounds like an older Michael Cole. So it was like probably like a few years ago. They for whatever reason they couldn't use Todd's voice on this, so they're like, "You record." He sounds so, and it kind of ruins the video packages because he sounds so fucking annoyed and bored. Did you notice that Michael Cole's voice?
Well, so he does the narrating of.
Yeah, in the original version, it's Todd Pentagale.
See, in the original version, Todd Pettingale's doing the narrating between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels,
Yes, and also the Goldust video too.
but he did a terrible job, so Michael Cole over.
No,
They
I'm
had
saying
him.
Michael Cole did a terrible job. Michael Cole kind of ruins the videos because he doesn't sound like he's into it at all.
Well, so they don't like I said in the Peacock one they only have Michael Cole narrating the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart
No, he did
package.
the Goldust video too.
Okay, but oh really in the
Yeah.
in Peacock?
The two recap packages, the two like this is also the first WrestleMania with like long recap packages.
Uh
Michael
huh.
Cole does both of them.
It does. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like someone who, because Michael Cole was a real like reporter. He was like a real actual reporter before he got into WWE. It sounds like he's doing the non-biased, non-emotional reporter thing. Like he's not used to the transition of like you're an entertainment reporter. You're like a phone. You're a fake reporter. You got to show more like enthusiasm. I don't think he knows that yet. That's what it sounds like to me. Remember,
No, no, he
he
did.
really was a real reporter.
Andrew Lee. He did no, he didn't do it back. He wasn't in the company in 1996. He did this recently. This was like he did this in 2021.
Oh, you're telling me the voiceover is in 2021?
Yes, they redubbed it recently. It wasn't like this when the network was around.
So it was originally done by Todd Pettingale.
Yes, yes, the
Why did they
VHS cop.
dub over it? Why did they
I
dub
don't
over it?
know. They just did it. They just did it, dude. He just no. He did this recently, dude. He wasn't. Didn't work for them. They didn't know who he was in 1996. He did this recently.
Hmm,
Yeah,
that's weird.
I know it's weird. That's it took me aback because like it kind of takes away from the video package because he has like no like he doesn't seem into it at all. So
Yeah, I'm gonna look that. Yeah, the voiceovers. I want to read about this. Yeah, yeah.
mhm. Hopefully, it doesn't happen for other videos. All right, guys. I say avoid WrestleMania. It's a big piece of shit. It just nothing about it felt like WrestleMania. It just was a disappointment to watch, and I think Shawn Michaels should be ashamed of himself.
I found out what it is. I think they had to do with the music. The music, they had to
Oh,
change
okay.
the music. And because you're scrapping the entire audio, you got to redo audio. So that makes
Yeah,
sense.
all this stuff just kills my interest in the company. Like the fact that the archives are all over the place, all the shows are all over the place. I just have no interest in wrestling right now. But
But I
I
will agree
do.
with you. This is a WrestleMania people that if you're a fan, you can skip WrestleMania. So if you didn't really miss anything, except for you know what, except for watch Shawn Michaels' mouth like get him the fuck out of the ring. That's
And
historical
Shove
moment.
or Hebner. All right, let's review the next 4 weeks. Next week, things pick up. It's in your house. Good friends, better enemies. Shawn Michaels
Oh,
will take on Diesel. In
in your
two,
house. Oh, in your house.
yeah, in 2 weeks, it's Sting versus the Giant. In 3 weeks, it's In Your House, Beware of Dog. Davey Boy Smith's going to take on Shawn Michaels. And then in 4 weeks, it's Great American Bash 96, where Lex Luger takes on the Giant, and the Outsiders appear on pay per view for the first time ever.
Ooh, I'm looking forward
NWO
to.
in the house! And things are about to pick up for WCW, not so much for Vince. All right, what are you excited about?
I'm looking forward to the Outsiders' first appearance. What about you?
Yeah, that's a good show too. I'm looking forward to that show, and I'm looking forward to In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies, because I heard Shawn Michaels and Diesel have a really good match, so I'm excited.
And also because they're short pay-per-views.
That too. All right, guys, that's the show. If you enjoyed the show, please follow us on Instagram, subscribe, leave us a review, subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment on the YouTube page if you have some memories of falling asleep to this match, and we will see you next time for In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies. We'll see you then. Bye,
See you later.
Andrew. See you
Bye.
later.